We are talking about absolute value equations and inequalities, and we want to evaluate expressions involving absolute value, solve absolute value equations, and solve absolute value inequalities. So we have some steps that we need to follow in order to do that. So steps to solve an absolute value equation. Get the absolute value by itself, and we're going to use GEMDES in order to do that. So if we look at this right here, is there any operations over here on the left side outside of the absolute value? And in this case, step one is done because there are no signs outside of the absolute value. The next step, step two, set the absolute value equation equal to the positive and the negative version of the number. So we have 6, and then we also want to set it equal to negative 6. So one way we're going to leave it alone. So we're just going to write it down without the absolute value sign. So x is equal to 6. Then the next one, we're going to write it down as the negative version. X is equal to negative 6. So that's going to be step 2. And then step 3 is use GEMDES to solve for the variable. Well, for this one, that's done as well. There's nothing we can do there. So our answer is x can be equal to 6 or x can be negative 6. So then we can write that as the set of negative 6 and 6. That will be our solution. So step 1, that was done for us. We didn't have to do anything. Then step 2, actually we didn't necessarily have to do any math other than we just had to write the absolute value side of the expression equal to the positive and the negative. So set it equal to positive and negative. And then step 3, that was done for us as well. We didn't have to do anything. So in this case, that was done already. So we'll get example 2. We have a similar situation. So step 1 is done already. That there's no operation over here outside of the absolute value. So then step 2, we're going to write it equal to the positive and the negative. So x equals 2 and x equals negative 2. And then step 3, use GEMDES to solve. That one is done for us already as well. So then our solution is very similar to the one we had earlier, where we have the set that includes negative 2 and 2. And we always write the lower number on the left. This one's going to cause a little bit more work. If we look at this one here, it says absolute value of 3x is equal to 30. So step 1, have no operations outside of the absolute value. So that one is done already. Because there is an operation of multiplication inside, but there's nothing outside. Down as step 2, I should write it over here, step 2, positive and negative. So we have to write the positive and the negative version. So whatever's inside the absolute value, so that's 3x, is equal to the positive version. So that's equal to 30. The other way that we have to write it is we have to write it where it's negative. So 3x is equal to negative 30. So we wrote down everything that was still inside the absolute value, but then we set it equal to a negative. And then we just solve these the way that we always have. So divide by 3, because we're using GEMDES. And in order to undo multiplication, we have to use division. So then we get x is equal to 10. Same thing here, using GEMDES. So we divide by 3 and divide by 3. And now we get x could be equal to negative 10. So our solution set for this one, what we did here for step 3 was we used GEMDES. And we used division and multiplication for inverse operation. That was the one thing that we used there. And then we got our answer. And the answer for this one's going to be the set. That includes negative 10 and 10.